Hi, I'm Nicole Crane, and today I'm going to be talking about why I am not a fan of the movie Hustlers. With full disclosure that I have not seen the movie, this is just based on kind of my, I'll be honest, like assumptions based on the trailer. And then I'm also going to talk a little bit about feminine empowerment and why Exquisite is so important and why I'm so passionate about what I offer in that program. So, first of all, I'm going to start off with Hustlers. So, it's not necessarily what you might think. Yeah, I'm definitely not a fan of the impact that it might have on the sex industry. I feel like Hollywood is definitely demonizing sex workers in this film. Um, and they are portraying us as scam artists, basically. So I think that it's going to have a negative impact on the industry. In my experience, it's already had a bit of a negative impact. It's been really slow. Um, but my major, critique of the movie, honestly, is with just like the premise of that form of reclamation of power, or honestly, it comes across as a revenge movie, right? So, to my understanding, basically these women, these strippers, decide to get payback on the bankers of Wall Street for crashing our economy. So they decide that these men have money that they can afford to lose because they took it from innocent people and they're just kind of getting it back, right? So the part that I really don't like is that it replicates what I would consider a very masculine dynamic of empowerment. So, or I should say a toxic masculine uh, embodiment of power. So, and I know that that term gets thrown around quite a bit, but let me explain what I mean by that. Like, I would say that a positive masculine or a healthy masculine empowerment would be providing for the people you love, taking uh, sure action, like making strategic plans, committing to them, and taking action on them. So, a toxic or unhealthy masculine empowerment is greedy, take everything you can, fuck everybody else, um, crush your enemies, step on people on your way up to the top style, right? So, that is the dynamic that I see playing out in this movie, where these women don't necessarily see their victims as people, which, I mean, honestly, dehumanizing people or like your enemy is kind of like a traditional tactic used in war. So it's my personal belief that there is enough greed and war and murder and rape and pillage, like all of these toxic action, like forms of empowerment, right? So I would say that that's like the epitome of toxic masculine empowerment. So, um, and honestly, like it kind of does tie into what I offer in Exquisite and why, because I think that in order for a radical change to happen on our planet right now, it's not enough to fight fire with fire, so to speak. So that's why I'm kind of disgusted by this movie, because I feel like these women are very rapey. I'm just gonna say it, right? Like they're drugging people, they are, there's a lot of non consent happening, there's a lot of just icky, gross behavior, right? It's tacky, it's rapey, it's non-consensual, and it's super fucking gross. And so I feel like it does reflect very poorly on strippers specifically, but like sex workers in general, right? That like our allure and mystery and the value of our company is something that we don't even value to the level that we feel like we have to escalate it to this very toxic greedy level, right? Like, in order to get our needs met, we have to do it this way. And so that's where I really feel repulsed by that formula, right? So, yeah, I think that's all I have to say about the movie. But in real life, I strongly feel that it's not enough to fight greed with greed. Like, we can't fuck people over on our way to the top in order to make money, in order to change the system from within, right? We can't solely back our choices up with our money. We can't solely just fund the people that we believe in and take away assets in the form of purchases or whatever from companies that we don't believe in, or systems that we don't believe in. Although that is a great start, you know, like, I think that that's one way to kind of passively affect at least the economic and financial situation, like politically or empowerment, whatever you want to call it. But to take it a step further, I really don't believe that fucking over bad people is the solution either. Like, I really feel like, and you know, I'm gonna sound like a hippie, but it's fine. Like, nonviolent communication, nonviolent tactics, and nonviolent forms of resistance are what's really necessary. And so I think that in order to replace greed and war and hatred and infighting is by cultivating connection. So I know that there's like a movement to, you know, talk to the Nazis and talk to the Republicans and talk to the Trump supporters and like see what we have in common. And yes, that's kind of going to be the outcome, but I think that what we really need to do is to, one, we have to resource from within so that we're not dependent on capitalistic, financial based pleasure anymore. Like, we need to disconnect from electronics a little bit. We need to disconnect from politically financed media sources a little bit more. We need to disconnect from things that fill us with anxiety and dread and fear and panic a lot more, and really tap into the things that we can provide for ourselves. So I want to briefly speak about one of my mentors, Layla Martin, talked about how in showing up as a leader, she really wanted to avoid the dynamic where her like followers or her students kind of depended on her for some kind of chemical reaction. Like, she doesn't really strive to achieve that kind of mentorship or like guruship where her students feed off of her energy and kind of depend on her to provide the experience that she offers. She really wants to create such a full education that her students come away feeling very self-empowered, and they resource from within to achieve that that sense of energy and that sense of enlightenment, rather than looking to her to provide it for them. So that really struck a chord in me, and that's not a natural style, because as a dancer, I really feel like that's part of my core, is like being an addictive substance, right? And like having this like charismatic entertainer persona. And so there is a little bit of temptation with interacting with my audience, like in this format, in that same way, where, you know, I really want to like draw you in and I want to magnetize you because I feel like I have something to offer to everyone. But I'm learning a lot in sales and marketing that it's okay to really hone in on my true passion and what is the most pleasurable for me to offer. And so the fascinating thing is that the way that I discovered what I'm really passionate about is by tapping into some of my deep wounding. And I'll be honest, it's not like my deepest wounds. Like it was suggested to me through my sales and marketing program that I just started that I tap into my top 3 core wounds. And to be honest, I don't want to help people with those kind of traumas. They're traumas. So, but when I took it up another level, I realized that The thing that I'm inspired by is women who have disconnected from their deepest pleasure. So, like, the easiest example. Well, okay, so what brought this up is I watched a video that a friend tagged me in on Facebook, and it was about this woman in her 70s, and she was actually really cute and really sexy. So there was a camera crew following her around as she kind of searched for and went on Tinder dates. And she was really like spicy and passionate and sexy and sensual, and she was very sexually vibrant still, even in her later years. And so I was inspired by that part, but there was one piece that totally broke my heart, and it was actually heart centric. And she said, I can't remember the exact wording that she used, but it was something like, I have to give myself a heartdectomy and disconnect my heart from my pussy, or disconnect my heart from my dates, or something along those lines. And I was just like, oh, like it just hurt me at such a deep level that, like, even though she was super magnetic and very vibrant and really cute and really fun, I felt like there's a whole deeper level that she's missing out on, where she could be not only connecting with other people, but connecting with herself in such a deep and powerful way that she's not allowing herself to tap into. And so it kind of reminded me of when I was a late teen and early adult, that I did the same thing. Like, I disconnected my emotions from my sexuality because I had been hurt and I didn't want to be hurt again. And so the result for me was that I wasn't able to orgasm. And at the time, my identity and my self-worth was so tied up in my sexuality that I was totally okay to trade my own pleasure and my own connection to myself through sexuality and pleasure for approval from my lovers. And I didn't know any better at that point, but over the years, as I had partners that allowed a safe space for me to develop my sexuality at a deeper level, I was able to start to orgasm again with my partners. And at this point, I can't imagine having a sex life that doesn't both create that safety but also create that pleasure, because I do feel like I connect to myself through orgasm, and I do connect to myself and to my higher, I mean, the goddess, God, the universe, source, the creator, the creatrix, like whatever words you're comfortable using. Like, I feel like when I orgasm, I'm talking to God. And so to not be able to tap into that power source would be tragic at this point in my life. Like, it's just unthinkably horrible. And so I had like such a moment of like sadness and compassion for this woman, that, you know, she has so many things figured out except for this one piece. And so I've decided that that's what I'm the most passionate about at this point, is developing different techniques and programs aimed specifically at creating safety for women around sexuality, but also vulnerability and this ability to deeply connect not only with themselves or with their partners, but also with the world at large, through creating a container for yourself where you hold space for yourself, you hold a deep level of respect for yourself, and you hold an infinite, deep level of love for yourself. So it really creates a lot of freedom, because you no longer require that level of validation or approval from someone else. You're providing it for yourself, and that opens up a lot of choices where you don't necessarily have to sacrifice your authenticity or your truth in order to belong or in order to be accepted. So I don't know if I've really ever connected the dots at that level before, so I'm kind of embarrassed that I feel like I've been cheating you of like the full spectrum of the benefits that Exquisite offers. But on that note, I am starting another round of Exquisite. It's actually the last Friday of the month, so the 27th of September is when the welcome information goes out. So you have that entire last weekend of September to kind of go over everything before the Q&A session the first week of October. So it's just a 4-week program. There's more information on my website, NicoleCraneCoaching.com. And if you click on Exquisite on that front page, it'll take you to all the details if you scroll to the bottom of the page. Yeah, so if you have any questions, please email me, Nicole at NicoleCraneCoaching.com. And if you have any feedback about the movie, if you've seen it, if you agree or disagree with my opinion, I would love to just have like a friendly conversation about what that brought up for you. And also if you have any experiences of what pleasure and orgasm provides for you, I would also love to hear that. So yeah, I look forward to talking to you, and we'll talk soon. Thanks so much.